Steven, how was your Thanksgiving?
That's it. That's all you got. You're not going to ask me something wacky, something out of
Isn't
bounds, something.
isn't that kind of wacky? How was your Thanksgiving, buddy?
It was okay. No, it was great. It was good. It was little. What do we do?
I didn't know
Worked.
I had to ask a wacky question every time.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I thought that's how it went.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Nah. So, uh, was live on KCBS through the morning.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and then after that, left for home. And went to go eat like a little brunch meal with the mom, brother, sister-in-law, and the children. And then I went to Jesse's family's place. But the funny thing is, like, I haven't listened to a national radio broadcast of a football game in a long time, in a very long time. And I was listening to Bills Lions on the way from work. I just didn't realize how many commercials are involved within a national radio broadcast.
Even a local radio broadcast.
I mean, the local one's okay, but I've heard that before, but it's every single thing. Like my favorite was like clearly Pepto Bismol paid a lot to get their names on the air because um it was Badgley who missed the field goal, with the announcers jinx or whatever with Jim Nance and Tony Romo.
Yeah.
When Badgley missed the field goal, I think it was Kevin Kugler who was doing it. Yeah, Kevin Kugler and Jim Miller. And and he's like, "Oh, man, he messed up. This messed up moment was brought to you by Pepto Bismol. Are you feeling messed up? Pepto Bismol." That kind
Wow,
of
they
thing.
have a messed up moment sponsor.
Yeah, like something like that. It was something along those lines. Yeah.
Well, did you have to use Pepto Bismol later in the day after you ate Thanksgiving?
I could have used it, but didn't.
Also, I give props to people that do multiple gatherings on Thanksgiving. I am if I'm going someplace for Thanksgiving, I'm going to one spot and one spot only. I don't like moving around. I like watching my football. I like eating my food. Props to people that have the energy to go around the world on Thanksgiving.
Well, just wait till you get a long-term girlfriend, Derek.
Fair enough.
then you'll then you'll realize that. How was yours? I didn't ask how was yours. How was
I
yours?
went to Florida to see my mom and my stepsister, and we had a good time. Did nothing, which is beautiful. Uh,
Wait, so you just said you don't travel. You
no,
give props to
Steven,
people.
on the day of,
Oh,
I was
right.
only at one spot.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
went to
Gotcha.
Florida, woke up at my mom's place, stayed at my mom's place.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, and it was the first Thanksgiving I've had in 3 years where I got to actually enjoy the day. I didn't have to work because the last 3 years in NFL Network, we obviously had to be involved with the game. So it was
Jeez.
fantastic. Yeah, it was great. Woke up, I think, at 11 o'clock East Coast time, and which is 8 o'clock our time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was.
I'll do the math for you. And yeah, chilled. Told my mom to get more food than we actually ate. I love eating pepperoni and brie as like a little snack,
Huh.
something in a nosh while you're watching football games. And barely got through that. She also made pigs in a blanket. And as for the actual feast itself, we had some turkey, some brisket that we cooked ourselves. Very proud about that.
Nice.
Some stuffing, some three bean casserole, and we forgot about the baked potatoes that we left in the oven, but
Oh
didn't even
boy.
need them. No, it didn't burn or anything. It just took a long time to cook. And then we topped it off with some chocolate pie, and
So
that was our gorge.
you don't go mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving. You go baked potatoes, huh?
I'm not a mashed potatoes guy. Not a fan.
Huh. Really? What is it? The texture of the potato? You don't like the mushiness? Like what is it?
I kind of like it to be like the closest thing to a French fry. And I think baked potatoes are the closest thing. You can also dab a little butter on those, a little bacon bits, and then you get yourself a good old baked potato.
Okay. I mean, okay. You could do that with mashed potatoes if you want to.
No, it's too messy.
What about the double baked potato? Have you ever had like a double baked potato?
What is this thing you speak of?
So you bake the potato and then you take the, filling out of it and then you mix it with a bunch of stuff and then you put the filling back in, then you cover it with cheese and you bake it again.
Mm. So
Yeah.
at first I thought you were going to just waste the potato that was cooked. Like you just take the potato out and then boom, you got yourself a potato shell.
No, it's a little jacket potato. Yeah, potato skins are those too, but like, yeah, you can scoop it out, then you mix it with a little something with anything you want, then you put it back, and yeah, then you bake it again.
That sounds delightful. I'll have to do that for next Thanksgiving.
It's very delightful. I will send you a YouTube video with 3 different recipes on how to do a double baked potato. I should have
That's
done it
okay.
this weekend.
I can just look it up myself. That's fine.
You don't know which video to look up, Derek.
Oh, good point. Okay, fine. Send that to me, Steven. Welcome everybody to Just Your Pregame Show, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. It is week 12 of your NFL season, and we will get to a lot of the games and what happened on Thursday for the Thanksgiving games, what happened last week for the Raiders and 49ers, and what's happening today. But before we get to all that, just real quick, I want to mention this because this was kind of surprising to me. Last night, I'm a little jet lagged, by the way, so if I have low energy, I apologize. Came in yesterday from Florida.
Ooh.
Had to do the old 8 o'clock flight East Coast time, which means I got to wake up 6 o'clock East Coast time, which is 3 o'clock our time. So my body is all over the place.
Eesh.
And my mind and everything. So I'm a little tired, and I went to bed super early last night, but I did not see this announced, and I'm kind of surprised by it. You and I talked about this briefly before we started the podcast. David Shaw stepping down as Stanford head coach. And I've gotten to know him from doing Tolbert and Copes. He comes on every week, and I hope he can do one last interview with us. But he's stepping down effective immediately. And that's kind of shocking to me because I know David Shaw's Stanford did have a poor season, only 3 wins. But he's been there for a long time, and I thought he would be given the benefit of the doubt. It sounds like this is a mutual decision. I like to think that. I don't know, if he was forced out. Sometimes
Right.
they say it was a mutual decision, but then,
You never know.
find out-
What happens behind closed doors? You can never
Exactly.
really believe that.
And every time David Shaw's name was brought up with NFL teams, because he's been ever sought after for the longest time, he always would say, "I want to live my career being Stanford head coach." And I wonder what changed for him. I know it was just one bad season, but I wonder if this is the time now. And he said after his press conference it was time, and he's tired, and he's not burnt out, but it's just time. And he said he was not going to coach again. We've heard that before. Many coaches say that. I would be very interested to see if David Shaw, maybe not this offseason, but in the future, would like to become an NFL head coach, because I always thought he'd be fantastic at it. He has. Sorry, go ahead.
No, if they say something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm done coaching," especially with guys like that who are clearly very smart at what they do, 12 years, it's a long time, but it's not like a lifetime of coaching.
16 years total at Stanford, even being an assistant with Jim Harbaugh.
Right. So I mean, that is a long time. 16 years is a lot. But they say that now, and then you take a year off, and then that's when teams come calling because they realize they need a new head coach. I mean, like, I don't know. What if the Panthers come calling next week? Next year? What if the Colts, if they're not moving on with Jeff Saturday, what if they come calling? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
we'll see about old Jeff Saturday.
Once these jobs start to open up, I mean, I don't believe it, but kind of crazy though. Like,
yeah, I judging by the fan base at Stanford, and we're not really a college football podcast. We don't talk enough about it. And yesterday was pretty interesting with Michigan beating Ohio State, and then all the change up you'll see in the college football playoff. But Yeah, I mean, I talked to Adam Copeland, who does the Stanford pregame show when Stanford's home, and the vibe from a lot of the Stanford fan base is that they kind of wanted to move on from David Shaw, and I don't think it's his fault with that the team wasn't doing well. It's it is what it is. You have changes every year, but it sounds like it was people wanted a change of scenery. So not change of scenery, but a change of, I guess, coaches. So David Shaw out as Stanford head coach. We will see what happens with that. But yeah, I would love. This is going to be interesting offseason with head coaching. Carousels, and
Mm.
you have to believe that Sean Payton will be brought back up in the mix. A lot of people will be brought back up. Maybe even Brian Flores. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if David Shaw's name is brought up in NFL circles. That'll be very interesting to me.
Yeah, and I mean, what about recruiting? Does that have anything to do with it?
Yeah, I mean that too. Obviously, they're not getting the players that they thought they were going to get, and hasn't been very competitive. I will say that it was very interesting to talk to David Shaw every week because the team wasn't doing well, and after a while, we just started talking about Christian McCaffrey with him, and he was more than happy to talk about that.
Yeah.
So now he has time to go watch him play at Levi's, and we will see what happens for the future of David Shaw.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't even get like what's his face? Oh, I can't remember his name. Jaden he's like the 6th ranked quarterback in the country. He plays over at Pittsburgh High School. Like he's going to, Florida, I think, or he's going to the University of Florida. He was choosing between like the U of M and the University of Florida. It's like, why don't you just, travel a little bit down 880 or something and head to Stanford or whatever freeway it is. But yeah, I don't know. I think it probably has to partly do with recruiting too. Like,
and also that the Pac-12 is not what it's going to go away.
Yeah.
A couple of years, USC, UCLA, they're going to the
Yeah.
Big Ten. So
no, it's one thing to be a coach on a losing team in the NFL when you can get like a high draft pick out of this. Okay, well maybe you know what, we could build on something, but then you just keep losing, and oh yeah, by the way, the top recruits are just going to keep on going to the schools that win. Like, so I can't imagine being a college coach in that situation.
yeah. I mean, also if you're Nick Saban, you get a first-round pick you get like 5 first-round picks every year when you
Right.
recruit somebody. So
Yep.
very, very interesting business.
Yeah.
As we move over to professional football, before we do that, Stephen, I listed all my meats that I ate on Thanksgiving. What meat did you eat Thanksgiving?
Is there like a lead into this? Like what kind of what?
There will be. There will be.
It was turkey and ham. Although there was 3, like,
Ooh.
you had the white meat, the dark meat, and then they had the
Ham.
then the turkey marinated in like some, basically some stew. So it was like really moist turkey as opposed to dry turkey. It was delicious. I ate a lot of that.
Did you have whose house did you have turkey at?
That was Jesse's family. So it was at her dad's and grandma's and with her aunt, uncle, and all that.
Did they prepare their own turkey?
Yeah.
Okay. My mom did the Whole Foods route, and wasn't bad. I would say a little dry. Not as dry as the turkey that they gave Adam Thielen, who spit it out and had wanted no part of that. Could you see that?
Yeah. And then Kirk Cousins acting like he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what it's like watching 2 brothers who are like telling their mom for the first time, who's cooking for the first time, like, no, yeah, it's really good. Kind of dry though.
Yeah.
and like the older
Need a gravy.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Need a gravy. Are you a gravy guy?
Of course.
Okay.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
people aren't.
Oh yeah.
For the longest time, I just thought that was like, ew, brown sludge. And then I realized it goes great on dry turkey.
Yes. Gravy's the best.
A lot of meat on Thursday. And a lot of meat with the NFL coaches. Huh? So you texted me after we saw the Eagles beat the Colts, and Nick Sirianni went to the Colts fans and said, that shit was for Frank Reich. And obviously he's emotional. We've seen him throughout this season. I think in preseason he yelled at Robert Saleh for the Jets hitting one of his quarterbacks. And he said, what the fuck, Saleh? And he was going after the Colts fans. Not terrible or anything, but you don't see a lot of head coaches doing that. But yeah, he has a tie to Frank Reich. They were together in Indianapolis, and you texted me Nick Sirianni, meathead, in which I was like, I don't know if he qualifies as a meathead. And then Thursday, we saw Brian Dable just lose his shit when the opening drive touchdown against the Cowboys
Yeah.
was called back for a legal man downfield, which was a terrible call. Regardless, Brian Dable lost his shit more than I've seen a head coach do in quite some time. Then I asked you, is Brian Dable a meathead? And you're like, nah, he's too smart to be a meathead. So I asked you, Steven, what is your qualifications of a meathead head coach?
The the qualifications for a meathead are, well, you got to be a football guy. That's number one. And Nick Sirianni, I've heard him talk. He's a football guy through and through. But also his opening press conference, his introductory one, the way that he was wording things is just like, okay, you don't really know what you're saying here. You are going purely based off of speech. I don't believe this. But it was Sirianni first, like yelling from the sideline. It's just the way that you act, the way that you carry yourself, and the way that he did when he's, hell, I got my charger in and my battery's saying there's low battery. Oh, we're good. Sorry. Sorry about that.
I was worried there.
Yeah. What's it called? It's the way that they it's the way that they enunciate, the way that they yell, the way that they put emphasis on their words, and the way that Sirianni a few weeks ago was yelling at Washington and just like basically saying, get the F off this field, blah, blah, blah. Like that qualifies to me as a meathead, a guy who seems like a football guy through and through. Dan Campbell, absolutely a meathead. Granted, there's probably no one a bigger meathead. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Let me point that out too. Not a bad thing to be a meathead. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Well, I was going to ask, when someone calls somebody a meathead, that usually means that there is a lack of intellect going on.
Oh, is that real? Is it?
I mean, that's what I surmise. Like, so I asked you, like, is Mike Vrabel a meathead? And I don't think so, because he's very intelligent. Not that I'm saying that Dan Campbell or Nick Sirianni are dumb. And I don't think, I'm like, I don't know, like meathead means to me, like, I guess the Dan Campbell phrasing of meathead is just the fact that he used to play, and he, his opening press conference, he said we're going to bite some kneecaps, or whatever the hell he said.
Right.
But you watch him in Hard Knocks, guy's not really a meathead. He is very smart. That's just what the media portrays, because he's, a big linebacker or a big tight end from back in the day who became a head coach, and he kind of talks gruff, but he also, like, I don't know, he's not a dumbass or anything.
No. Well, you can't be. You're an NFL head coach. You can't
Exactly.
be. You can't really be that way. John Gruden, he was a meathead.
Yeah, see, I don't even know. Like, so, like, I don't even know what applies as being a meathead in the NFL. Like Rob Gronkowski, sure, meathead, but he was a great tight end. As far as head coaches, I don't think you can be. Like Bill Parcells. Like, I asked you, like, was Bill Parcells a meathead? And I don't think he is. I think he was just a Jersey guy that just talked, tough.
Yeah, to me, it's just a meathead is one who's just a football guy through and through.
So Jack Del Rio?
Yes. Yes, where it seems like football is their life and there's nothing else that's involved in it. Like,
well,
nothing.
That's every head coach. So is Bill Belichick a meathead?
Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah.
I'm poking holes in your meat here.
Yeah, you are. Did you hear that?
What?
Nothing. Yeah, so
Is there something going on behind you?
I might have farted. So
that and point proven right there. Meathead farting doing a podcast.
You might have me here. Yes. Still all meatheads.
All right. And in Steven's world, we're all idiots.
Yes.
As far as the football play last Thursday, Thanksgiving, you had the Bills beating the Lions in dramatic fashion. You had the most watched game of all time. God, I can't believe it. I mean, with these two franchises and them playing well, kind of believable, but wow. Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys win. 42 million people watched this game. Most watched sporting or most watched regular season football game of all time. And
Yeah.
we're living in the streaming era. I was very surprised about that. And then Sunday night tapped off with or capped off, I should say. Justin Jefferson going off, Randy Moss like on Thanksgiving against the Patriots with the Vikings getting their win. So, of all the games that went down on Thanksgiving, Stephen, which one stood out to you the most?
Um, but well, the one where I had like the most, I'd say the one that I took away, like the one that I was like came away like, wow, okay, this is for the specific teams is what I'm saying. Like Giants, Cowboys. Um, I like that was one to me where actually, I guess there are two because the early ones to me, like I don't know, Patriots, Vikings. I didn't watch too much of it, if I'm being totally honest with you.
That
Um,
tryptophan got you.
yeah, but I didn't watch a ton of it, but like the early games, with the Bills and the Lions, something's up with Josh Allen. I don't know if it's his elbow or
It is.
whatever, but he is just making some weird decisions. And like, I mean, the fact that he just keeps on making turnovers or creating turnovers is just insane. But then again, like at the end of the game, when as you're thinking the entire time, ooh, I don't know, the Bills are leaking oil, but they did what good teams do, and that is drive down the field when you have 26 seconds left and somehow get a field goal to win the game. So, like originally, my biggest thing was going to be like, wow, the Bills are kind of, yeah, I don't know about them. Nah, they're still pretty good. They're still pretty good, even with a banged up quarterback. It doesn't matter if it's a close game or not. They still won that game against the Lions. That's what good teams do.
Exactly. And I think that Josh Allen is fighting through an injury right now. And it would be beneficial for him to, get the normal rest time when you play a Thursday night game. But they won't get that. They'll just get it
Right.
exactly a week because they're playing Thursday night again against the Patriots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched that game, and Josh Allen definitely has something going on with his elbow. Tony Romo made that apparent the whole game. Um, but I think they'll be fine. And when he needed to, he got the ball to Stephon Diggs and set up that field goal. And I think it's just going to be that way the rest of the season. It may come to bite him in the ass, but Josh Allen will, he'll fight through that injury, and it'll either be a bad throw or it'll be an amazing throw, and he will sacrifice his body and run through all these defenders and
Yeah.
give them the best chance to win. So I still like the Bills.
They got fantastic players at every level on defense too.
They do. And speaking of which, they will be without Von Miller for a little bit of time or a lot of bit of time. Don't know right now. He strained his knee, so he avoided the ACL tear. But it sounds like, if I'm gathering everything correctly, we still don't know a lot of information, but it sounds like Von Miller will come back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he'll play with a brace on, and they should be fine. That should be still a good situation with the Buffalo Bills, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no reason why he should play. As a matter of fact, till the end of the playoffs, they're gonna get there. They're gonna get there. I just don't, even if it's possibly even second in the AFC East, depending on how things shake down.
I doubt that,
but probably not gonna happen. They could still win games without Von Miller anyway. And let me think. Oh, Giants Cowboys. Yeah. Good Lord, it was that fourth quarter, man, that sticks out. Like that fourth quarter where the Giants just decided to run the football and keep on running and play with literally zero urgency. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, they don't have much of a passing game. And Daniel Jones is having a pretty good season, but at the same time, he doesn't do a lot. It's that offense is predicated by their running game and their offensive line. And they've been able to come back at games. They came back against the Packers and the Ravens, but it was more so because their ability to run, and the Cowboys shut them down. And I actually didn't know this. I thought it was Brian Dable calling the plays. It's actually Mike Kafka calling plays for the New York Giants. So I still think they're going to be a playoff team, but yeah, I think that division's going to the Eagles. I think the Cowboys will be right there, probably as like maybe a 13-win wild card team.
Yeah.
And they'll probably end up playing, the lowest seed of the division winners, which will probably be the Buccaneers. Yeah, I don't know if the Giants. There's a lot of teams that have been surprising this season: the Giants, Jets, Seahawks. But I don't know if all three will have amazing quarterback play if they make the playoffs. Speaking of which, with Zach Wilson being benched, and
Yeah.
Mike White of White Lotus will be quarterback in the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be Mike White versus Trevor Simeon today because Justin Fields isn't going. So that's a terrific matchup. But
It's a
yeah.
dandy.
But yeah, no, they're kind of they're starting to leak that whole NFC East. I mean, you can make the case that, outside of the Eagles, and the Cowboys, actually, like all of them, like really the three teams other than the Giants are like the hottest teams in the NFL right now. And then you got the 49ers, obviously.
Yeah.
But like Washington, they're starting to show like, hey, we're pretty damn good. Like I said this before the pot or at the start of the season with the podcast, but it's like that Commanders wide receiver core with Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel, like they're pretty damn good offensively. They don't have much in terms of the running backs. And then on defense, you got that defensive front. And they just play hard, man. Terry McLaurin's like a real leader. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But that Giants game against the Cowboys, like that was just really questionable play calling. Very questionable at the end, where it's just they're constantly running down the clock and didn't bother to put the ball in Daniel Jones's hands and try and let him win you the game. I think there's definitely something wrong there.
Yeah, we'll see about that for the long term. That could be a team that you see that they may want to upgrade quarterback wise in the offseason because Daniel Jones is a free agent. But yeah, those were the Thanksgiving games. A week ago, we haven't done a midweek show, so we haven't reacted to the Raiders win or the 49ers win from a week ago. And yeah, I predicted correctly, Steven. Even though you said that was a terrible pick by me.
What?
The Raiders, I picked them to win. And I knew whenever, of course, whenever teams at its lowest, they, of course, the next week come back and win a game. And they very well could have lost this game, but they end up winning the game 22-16, thanks to Devontae Adams having a touchdown in overtime. And this is an amazing stat to me that the Broncos would be 9-1 this season if the Broncos scored 18 points in regulation this season.
That's crazy.
That is incredible. And Russell Wilson is yikes. He's going back and forth with Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll is looking like the smartest guy in the world, trading away Russell Wilson for a bounty of draft picks.
Yeah.
And 3 players. But as far as the Raiders win, it was great. There is no question that Devontae Adams makes this team, better.
Right.
And once everyone is healthy, you should see this team be explosive like that.
Yeah.
Where you see Devontae Adams going down the field. You see Hunter Renfrow picking up first downs. You see Darren Waller being the red zone guy. There's no question that should be the future. But we don't know if that is going to be the future. Like, I enjoyed that win, but at the same time, is it too little too late? Because if we're judging things on a year ago, then you should have improved from the playoff game. The playoff team. It's tough. Whatever happens with the Raiders at the down the stretch of the season this year, I don't know if it's going to carry over to the next season.
Right.
And they've already given Josh McDaniels the benefit of the doubt. He's going to be the coach next season, but in my opinion, it should be a short leash. So no matter what happens, I will be entertained by the Raiders, but I don't know if it's going to be, well, I shouldn't say that. They could very well be terrible. But if they start playing well to their potential, then, fans get their hopes up and they're like, oh, sweet, it's going to carry over next season. I don't know if that's the case.
You know that thing that you said when the Niners got all those talented players and they're showing like on the graphics, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey, and they're showing everybody except for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of the case with the Raiders. It seems like other than the offensive line, which absolutely stinks, outside actually they haven't been too bad, I guess. They've been
run game. They've been great.
They've been great in run blocking. Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of how I feel with the passing game, though, with the Raiders. It's like Devontae Adams, like there's not even a question with the whole him leaving the Packers thing. And you have that question of like, oh, was Rodgers like just that great, or did Devontae Adams make him better? Or is Devontae really that good? Or is he just playing with an all-time quarterback? No, both guys are just really good in their own right. Like they're both fantastic players, and it's crazy that they were together for so long on one team. But Josh Jacobs, man, has just been just so great this year. Like he's been fantastic. You got to pay him now, I think. And I mean, I don't think there's going to be much with Carr moving
You don't have to pay
forward.
him now because what if he hurts his knee?
It's true. But like, I don't know, man. It's just the offense looks fine. It just seems like Derek Carr is really the one guy who's kind of the lowest on the team. But I don't know.
But do you think he holds them back for whatever reason?
I don't. Yeah, but
here's my thing with Derek. And believe me, he's been given the benefit of the doubt for a good 10 seasons now, or whatever it is, 9. I do believe when he's comfortable and he's given the right things, a good offensive line and a ton of talent, then he can deliver. I don't think that was the case this season. I think a lot of guys got injured. I think that the offensive line, we had question marks about that going into the season. And yes, we all said this was a make or break season for Derek Carr. But watching that post-game video of the team screaming his name, DC, DC, they love this guy.
yeah,
And the only reason you would make a change at QB is because you are just impatient. And I get that. I totally understand that. And you're running out of time too. And it's beneficial in the contract too. But I do believe that it would also not be in the best interest to do this for the sake of the team going forward and even Devontae Adams going forward to get rid of Derek Carr.
yeah.
I know it was just one win and it was a touchdown toss in overtime that they very well could have lost. But those are glimpses of the potential that this team could be.
You know what? Maybe that's what the rest of the season needs to be then. You know, like if you're not going to be, what are you, 3-7? If you're not going to, if you're going to win the rest of these 7 games, I mean, that'd be amazing. You go 10-7, you probably make the playoffs. But maybe, you kind of asked me this question last week after they lost to the Colts, but, what's there to look forward to this season? Maybe it's seeing if Derek Carr can actually, get his statistics up in these months, because these are the ones that are supposed to be the down months for him. These are supposed to be the ones that stink. And as far as like the offensive line and how that goes, we've seen quarterbacks overcome offensive lines like this one. This one's not like, it's not like that Bengals offensive line that was just getting Joe Burrow sacked like more than anyone in the NFL.
But yet they went to the Super Bowl.
Right? But like, or the Chiefs, for example, when they were down to like their third stringers toward the end of the season, Patrick Mahomes still made it work. Yeah. Maybe that's what the rest of the season needs to be. I got to be honest, I had no reaction whatsoever when the Raiders had that overtime win last week. I just had none. Jessie was in LA all weekend. She actually surprised me. She showed up at like, I think it was maybe 3:00 or something like that.
Wait a minute.
Huh.
I understand if you don't want to come out, if your girlfriend, you got plans or whatever. But we had a whole thing at the athletic. I'm so distraught over this that I can't speak. We had a whole gathering at the athletic club, and Steven wanted to stay home.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
I know. I know. I'm the worst. But wouldn't you rather have a guy that is just honest rather than me making an excuse? Oh, I don't know. I was totally honest and say, I don't want to go.
Fair enough. I actually do respect that. Okay, but you had no reaction to them winning?
No, but like Jessie comes home, she comes home like, I think she gets there at like 3:00, and then the Raiders are tied, and they're in overtime, and then they score, and I just didn't have much of a reaction to it. Now, the reaction that I had after, God, some of these routes that Devontae Adams puts on these corners, man, it's unreal. Like, he is, this dude's good. Like, this dude's real good. So I don't know. I'm back and forth on it. And also, you know what? They need to improve the defense.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
There's again, the Rock Ya-Sin thing. He's not been very good. Trevon Merrick, don't see what he does well. Max Crosby is unbelievable. That dude plays with such a motor, such a high energy. Like, I don't know, man. I watched that game. I didn't have much of a reaction to it. Denzel Perryman, he's back, I believe. He was awesome in that game. I like those two guys, but other than that, the rest of the defense, I'm kind of like meh on it. Yeah, maybe the rest of the season is just that for Derek Carr. Maybe it's just like this is the real tryout now when the season's lost. But I think a lot of fans are ready to move on, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I just think this whole season was weird. Not even the Raiders. Matt Ryan was a bust with the Colts.
Until now.
Well, we'll see. Russell Wilson. I mean, we'll see if Matt Ryan has to retire after the season. Despite the fact that he looked good against the Raiders, they benched him, and maybe the separated shoulder, but I don't know what his future holds for the Colts. Russell Wilson has been a huge disappointment with the Broncos, but he won't be the scapegoat there. It will be Nathaniel Hackett. Because Russell Wilson has his own office in the Broncos building, apparently.
Oh boy.
It is it's just been a disappointment across the board, I think, for a lot of teams that I don't know, just didn't prepare well for the changes that were going to come. Like, all in all, there was a lot of changes this NFL offseason. The Raiders, despite being a playoff team, they changed their whole coaching staff.
Yeah.
They were a brand new team. Broncos, got a new head coach and Nathaniel Hackett. Matt Ryan, better leader than Carson Wentz, but maybe not a better athlete. And then, I mean, I don't know. Just a weird season all the way around. I don't know if you just chalk it up to the fact that, a lot of teams sucked this year and it was a disappointment across the board. But I do think that Derek Carr should get another shot at this. Now, that being said, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the Raiders go out there against the Seahawks today and totally suck, possibly even get shut out. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to keep Carr till the end of his contract, but you draft a quarterback this season and you develop him in the system so he could possibly take over for Carr. Like,
yeah,
because this is all. I mean, I don't know, man.
What if even like what if you got like a proven veteran to back up Derek Carr?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like maybe like an Andy Dalton or even a Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Well, see that's tough too. I don't know, man, because they're. I don't know,
because you're not putting a ton of pressure on Derek. There'll be some,
right,
but not a ton.
Right.
I was even throwing out in the offseason this year that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't find a home yet. Just as a backup plan. And of course, that's naive to me because with the season the way it's gone this year, by week 5 it would have been like, could Jimmy Garoppolo play for Derek Carr? Speaking of which, if we move to the Niners now, Jimmy Garoppolo played very well. Very well. Not MVP, but he's doing a probably his best season with the Niners, I'd say.
Who are you calling out? Who's saying he's an MVP, playing like an MVP?
People that are close with the Niners. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. Even though, I'm sure deep down he probably thinks that or whatever. Anyway, no, Jimmy Garoppolo is not your MVP this season, but he is playing some damn good football.
He's playing really good football. I can't deny it. I'm watching it, and there's some plays that he makes where it's like, oh, okay, I didn't know you had that in you. Like, oh, wow, nice. All right.
Well, here's the thing. I think we knew that Jimmy Garoppolo had this in him. It's not, believe me, it's not like he's going out there and throwing 70-yard touchdown passes. He's just doing the right things that he's always done. He's checking it down. He's finding the wide open receivers. It's just not as clunky as it's looked in the past few seasons. That being said, I still think that you still got. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was playing.
Here's my thing. Can I just like
really
quick?
Go ahead.
Like, well, it's making plays and creating plays whenever it breaks down from the offensive line. Like the offensive line, I looked at it. They haven't had a sack there's been 3 games this year where they haven't had a sack, and I forget how many how many teams have done that, but there aren't that many teams that have done that in the NFL where they've had 3 games this year. Like, for me, like, to me, I think part of that is the offensive line and them being pretty good, but I also think part of it is Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't really let that happen. He hasn't let himself take a sack. Like, he's been breaking out of the pocket and making some fantastic throws in the meantime too. So I think that's what I've seen that's different from Jimmy. Like, there's no doubt that he's been able to stand strong in the pocket and be able to deliver a throw over the middle of the field. That's what he's made his career on. But it's the ideas of, like, you know, scrambling a little bit and actually looking for an open receiver and hitting him in stride. Like, he's been doing that a lot in these past few games. There's been a couple to Kittle that you could think of. There's one to a couple of weeks ago, I think, to when Kittle was out. I think it was to Ross Dwelly. Like, there's a few off schedule plays that he's make where it's like, damn, I didn't really see that before. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
And Ernie makes a great point. This might be the first season in the longest time that Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy. Because last season he was dealing with the thumb injury and then he had the shoulder problem. I do think this is Jimmy Garoppolo's best season, just because he hasn't had this offensive talent that he's ever had before. George Kittle is now catching passes. He's got, it's amazing to me that the career high for George Kittle touchdown wise in a game is 2, but also not surprising. And then, you got Christian McCaffrey, and it may just be that Christian McCaffrey is a jack of all trades. He's not going to rush. I mean, there'll be games where he rushes for over 100 yards, but we all know that Shanahan is a running back by committee type of offense. So it's not the end of the world if Elijah Mitchell outrushes Christian McCaffrey. At the end of the day, if Christian McCaffrey is over 100 yards from scrimmage, then that's what they got him for, to be a receiver and a running back.
Mitchell sent a nice little reminder to everybody, like, hey, I was the number 1 when I was hurt in week 1 of this season. Like, did you forget that? I don't care that McCaffrey's here. Like, when he came in, I think, when did he take his first snap? In the second half? Like,
something like that.
When he came in and when he took his first snap, it was like, damn, all right. Like, this is, yeah, I think that they're doing just fine from the running back position. They're fine.
They'll be fine. They probably have the best running game in all of football. And yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, throws for 4 touchdown passes, and he hadn't done that since the 2019 season. And I think this team is very similar to that, just as far as their pass rush and, the offensive, explosiveness that they had. Actually, I shouldn't say explosiveness, but just the way that they're able to. They're not explosive. I should say that they don't like do, like I said, like 75-yard touchdown passes, but you don't need to sometimes when you have an effective running game and you're able just to be, able to scheme it up in so many different ways that you're able to score in the red zone. It's very similar to 2019 where they were, they were one of the higher scoring teams in football, but it wasn't because that they had, the best passing attack in all of football, just because that they were able to, keep defenses on their toes because they're so good at running the football. So
yeah,
we'll see where they go. They had a very impressive win against the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals are just a mess right now. But
do you feel like the 49ers are the best team in the NFC?
I keep going back and forth in my mind. If they were to play the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, would they win? And that's where I wonder. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is playing very well, but against that pass rush and that defense that has maybe the best secondary in all of football, with James Bradbury and Darius Slay and
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yep. I don't know what Jimmy Garoppolo would do against them. It could look like earlier in the season when he played the Broncos, or it could be where he looked very, efficient against the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know right now is my answer. I could see them running the table and not losing another game of the regular season. I think they could very well beat the Vikings. I don't know about the Eagles. So if I had to rank it right now as far as best teams in the NFC, and the Eagles are slipping a little bit. They are. I wonder about them and their passing game if they're down in a game, but they were able to come back against the Colts. If I had to rank it right now, the best teams in the NFC, I would say, are the Eagles.
Yeah.
The Niners, the Cowboys, and then the Vikings. And even, Dak looked a little inaccurate against the Giants. They still ended up winning that game. It's very possible they get Odell by next week or something. If I was Odell, I would go to the Bills, but whatever. Um, yeah, that's how I would rank it as of now.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that whenever like we make these proclamations like, oh, the 49ers are the best team in the NFC, they've solidified themselves. Like, that's because we watch them with such a close eye. We haven't watched them with nearly as close of an eye with the Eagles and watching their 9-1 season. We're not watching every snap live and then rewatching, the condensed game and then possibly looking up game film and keeping up with all these people on Twitter, these beat reporters, these writers who are like posting clips on social media and like, this is why the Niners are the best team in the NFL because of plays like this and all that. Like, I personally think they're right up there. They are right up there. But like the Eagles have a much better record. They've been consistent through the season. So I'm not ready to just say, oh yeah, the Niners are the best team in the NFC right now. And this is just now, with this point that I'm about to make, can you tell me whether this is just nitpicking or whether this is just like, maybe me like searching for something wrong with the team? Like, I don't know where to classify this because
I'll definitely tell you if you are like every 49er fan on Twitter.
I'll still feel this way until I see different. But these past 3 games, right? You had the Rams, Chargers, Cardinals. You have, the defense being lights out in the second half, not allowing a point.
Yep.
Against a Rams team who, did they have Cooper Kupp? They did have Cooper Kupp, right? Yep. They did have Cooper Kupp in that game. But a Rams team who are clearly lost, even though that was a good win. Still a good win, but the Rams team, clearly something's up there. Yeah. You do it against a really banged up Chargers team who looked fantastic in the first half, and they took everything away in the second half. If Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were in the game, I don't know. Maybe I don't think they allow that sort of thing to happen in the second half. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are too damn good. And then you're playing against a Cardinals team who had Colt McCoy. Like, I don't care if he maybe, looked better the week before with the team. I don't care that he got their win last year. It's still Colt McCoy. Like, you should beat a team with Colt McCoy at quarterback. So, to me, that's made everyone forget the one record which really stood out after that Chiefs game, which is the Niners are 1-27 or whatever it was under Kyle Shanahan when they're down 3 points in the fourth quarter. I don't care how good they've been these past 3 weeks. I can't forget that one. Like, when I'm saying, oh, this team's going to make it to the Super Bowl. Well, what if their defense doesn't play like a historically good defense in one game? Like, how does that work? Because Kyle Shanahan has clearly proven that he does not really know how to coach when he doesn't have a lead.
I don't know about that. I just don't think he has the quarterback to bring him back in the game.
This year, I'll have to say this year. We saw it in 2019, no doubt. We've seen him get into a shootout with teams like that. That game against the Saints, I remember that game against the Saints just totally changing everything for me about the Niners and the way that I thought about him after that huge win in overtime. So I need to see it with this year's team until I really make a bold proclamation like, oh, this is the team that's going to get him to the Super Bowl. Like, we've seen him win one way. I need to see him win in like a variety of ways. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and I also understand your question with the fact that they just haven't played great competition the last 3 weeks. You are asking the one of my favorite moments back in the day, 95-7, was Jack Del Rio being on with Matt Steinmetz, Townie and Steiny filling in for my pops, and Steiny asking Jack Del Rio, "Hey, Jack, you got a couple wins against the Jags and the Bucks, but are they really good teams?" And Jack's like, "Well, that's a dumb question. We can only play who we're playing against." And Jack was right, and Steiny was right. At the end of the day, you can only control who you play against. And I don't fault the Niners for looking good against those 3 teams because you should. At the same time, yes, the Cardinals, if you watch Hard Knocks, they're, very interesting team and very, easy to root for when Kyler Murray is not on the field. But they're just a mess. And the Rams are a total mess right now. We'll talk about them a little later. The Chargers are an injured team, but they still have a lot of talent. I was impressed with that win, regardless of.
Yeah, the Charger, like if I had to choose between the three, I'd say the one against the Chargers was like the one to me that was like most impressive, because the Cardinals and the Rams, I'm just feels like the 49ers have had their number.
Well, at the time, the Rams were still looking for to make a like like that was before the trade deadline, and you didn't know if they were going to make a move or if they were going to stand pat.
Right.
And it just seems to me like the Rams now are just like, it's kind of like remember when Steve Kerr, the day after the Warriors lost the NBA Finals to the Toronto Raptors, and he said we're going to take a sabbatical next season.
Yeah.
With the fact that Klay Thompson's torn his ACL and the inevitable of Kevin Durant, if he was going to return to the Warriors or not, he tore his Achilles. It seems to me like Sean McVay and the Rams just made a deal with the devil last season, and now it's coming back to bite him in the ass, where they made all those moves, Matthew Stafford, Odell, Von Miller, and now they're waving the white flag, and they're like, well, shit, this is, fuck them picks. Yeah, it's good at the time, but now it comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
Where you don't improve your offensive line, and now, you got Matthew Stafford out, maybe for the rest of the season they're talking about, with his concussion and possibly retirement. I don't know about that yet. I don't think he wants to go out like this. But, yeah. And they don't even have their own first-round pick next draft. So with them losing, the Lions benefit more and more. So this could be just them, doing their own like mini rebuild, where it's not going to be like a huge rebuild. Like they'll still do their Ram shit in this offseason, I believe. But yeah, very surprising to go from Super Bowl to now how terrible they are right now.
Well, that's what's now you're reminding me like that old question whenever the trade deadline comes about, and you want to trade draft picks for a certain player, then the question becomes, well, do you want to, like, let's just throw out this scenario for the next 5 years. Let's just say you win a Super Bowl that first year, but don't go to the playoffs for the rest of those 5 years. Are you taking that Super Bowl? Like maybe Rams fans are, but at the same time, I'm watching it like, God, you're not going to be competitive for a while with your future now, the way that it's looking.
Yeah, but then they'll reset the cap. I still think they'll be competitive. It's just this season, you also got to believe that with how close Sean McVay was to retiring and Aaron Donald was to retiring, that maybe just some guys' heads just weren't in it again.
Maybe.
And Stafford, the whole offseason with the elbow.
Yeah, that whole weird thing.
I just think it was a calamity of errors. Odell not coming back to the team. It doesn't look like he's coming back now.
Yeah. The Allen Robinson thing was huge. You basically, you essentially, you didn't do this directly, but you essentially like traded Von Miller for Allen Robinson. Like that's essentially what you did. Allen Robinson gone for Von Miller gone from the team. You use that money to spend on Allen Robinson.
It was a cheaper option.
But like they still use that money though on Allen Robinson, and nothing happened. Van Jefferson didn't come back till the middle of the season.
I think it's like the Warriors having that one bad season in 2019.
Well, okay, so but back to the original question though, like take away those matchups or whatever. Like that one thing I still need to see from the Niners until I make that proclamation. Like, is that too nitpicky, or
no?
Is that like is that just is that taken away, from like the Niners' talent and just how good they actually are? Like, who cares if they haven't come back from a lead before?
No, I mean, still like to see it. I still like to see it against pretty good talent or pretty good competition. No, it's not a nitpicky thing. I would say it is if like certain Niner fans are like, who cares about these wins? I want to see them dominate against this team and this team and this team. No, they're stacking up good wins now, and they need to.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see some people revert from their initial opinions of Jimmy Garoppolo and actually say he's actually a pretty good quarterback, because he is. But I also understand his shortcomings, and that's the reason I still don't know if they could beat a team like the Eagles. We look at the Vikings schedule coming up, and they very well could slide to the 3rd seed. So if the Niners get the 2 seed, it's going to be very interesting to see how they stack up against the Eagles if the two are to play an NFC Championship game.
I think today too. Like I know it's a Saints team. I think the Saints are 3-7, right? They're 3-7. I think.
Yes,
I think they're 3-7. Like the circumstances that are surrounding this game, as far as preparation, like you're coming off a Monday night game in Mexico City. You arrived Tuesday, 6:30 in the morning. Took the rest of the day off. You had the first practice Wednesday, though those ones are never that tough. Then you had a light walkthrough on Thursday because of Thanksgiving, and like they were apparently still tired on that Wednesday, by the way. So really, you didn't have 2 days of practices, and now you're going up against the Saints team, who Shanahan made a great point. He said, like, look, to me, they're one of the best defenses around, despite their scoring, despite like what they say in the stats, because they've been without like Marshawn Lattimore and Cam Jordan and those guys. I think Marcus Davenport was out last week too. All those guys are coming back. Like, as far as the logistics and the way that they worked out, this could be one of the Niners' toughest games of the year, just as far as the week of preparation and stuff like that. I think it makes a huge difference.
It very well could be, but the reaction everybody will be if they lost to the Saints. It'd be like, oh, what the hell? But at the same time, yes, I agree with you, Steven. Everything that you said makes sense. That it will be a tough game for them this week. But as far as the competition going forward, like their biggest games that you see that they have to handle coming up will be against the Dolphins and the Buccaneers and the Seahawks. That's about it. So I think they can not coast, but they should finish with a pretty good record by the end of the season. And yes, they should be the NFC West champions. But as far as being, you know, NFC champions, I don't know yet. And that will make things a lot more interesting because we still know what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo's future and Trey Lance's future, and that'll be just a whole mess.
That's the thing, man. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that today. But
can we just talk about how everyone thinks Jimmy will automatically come back?
Everyone?
It's just like the assumption is, well, it seems like everyone thinks that Jimmy just doesn't have a choice. Like, what if Jimmy just doesn't,
No.
decide?
No. I think Jimmy's gonna have choices.
He's going to have a lot of options, and their team's going to be willing to pay a little more, I think, than what the 49ers are going to be willing to give up.
I think that his best option would be to come back to the Niners. But I think that going on with what's going on with Zach Wilson and the Jets, I think that's on the table, especially with his familiarity with Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur. I think that the New York Giants are a possibility if they want to upgrade from Daniel Jones to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that the Texans are a possibility, especially with the scenario that I think is going to happen, where unfortunately I do believe that Lovie Smith will be fired, but I do believe DeMeco Ryans could possibly be the head coach of the Houston Texans. That'll make
No
a ton
doubt.
of sense.
No doubt.
With him being a former player there.
Yeah.
Of course, DeMeco knows Kyle, or Jimmy. He knows Kyle as well.
Yeah.
And then, I also think that the Saints are a possibility as well, because I don't know what the future holds for Dennis Allen. And I think that they've always wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, but they went with Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston, and that's Jimmy's going to have options next offseason.
Jameis not coming back from injury and starting
hurt his soul.
Hurts my soul, man.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I know. And then I missed this because I was gone last week, but Steve Young did a surprise interview with our show, but Tolbert and Copes weren't there, so it was with Dieter Kernenbach and Kerry Crowley. And apparently the quote is that Steve Young wants to see Jimmy Garoppolo be the quarterback for the Niners the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's like, see, that's where I'm like, all right, Steve, you've literally said the complete opposite for the past year. Like, what are you talking about, Steve? You've seen 3 games.
Let Steve be Steve.
I know. I'm going to. It's just like, we'll take his word as gospel whenever he says something nice about Trey Lance, but then like when he says something mean and he says something about Jimmy Garoppolo, but now it's like, dude, now you're saying Garoppolo should be the quarterback for the next 10 years. Like 3 weeks ago, you thought he didn't trust Kyle Shanahan, didn't trust him. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, you could also separate the two in the sense that there is a lot of animosity. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe he's figured out that trust. I don't know. But the Niners do have a real possibility. Personally, I think they can make a deep playoff run. I think they're so talented just at every level. Fred Warner just changes everything with that defense, along with Nick Bosa and Hufanga and everything. Like, you don't get, like, dude, you can't just play a basic 4-3 and do what the Niners have done, where it feels like every game where they've talked about the second half, well, we didn't really change up too much. Like, we just kind of ran the same sort of play and just a straight cover 2, pretty simple. And and we've stopped them. Like there's not much they've done that's special. Well, the reason you could do that is because you've got talent everywhere. It's crazy.
This is my final note with the Niners. I don't know if they're the best team in the NFC right now, but they very well could be the most reliable team in the NFC.
Yeah.
Just based on what they've done in the past few seasons. Kyle Shanahan. I mean, you look at the teams that will be in the NFC race. The Eagles and their meathead coach Nick Sirianni. I'm kidding. And then they got Kevin O'Connell, rookie head coach with the Vikings. Brian Daboll with the Giants, first year. Seahawks. Obviously, Pete Carroll has accomplished a lot in this league, but very young team. And Geno Smith has never played in a playoff game before. Buccaneers, Tom Brady, obviously, but Todd Bowles never been in a playoff game before. Well, as an assistant coach, but as a head coach, no. And who else am I missing? The Cowboys. They usually lose playoff games.
Right.
So, but Mike McCarthy, I think we got to change our tune on him a little bit. He could be a meathead, but he's actually doing a very good job this season.
Well, see the things you just listed though. Now you have me thinking like, man, after the season, if the Niners end up losing in the playoffs and they don't win the Super Bowl this year, give it all those caught. Like if they don't, I'm just gonna say like the offseason, the way that Niner fans are gonna react to Kyle Shanahan.
But they could very well lose to a better team.
Yeah, but no one's going to believe that. And Kyle Shanahan is going to get blamed so bad. Oh, my God.
Well, there's also excuses. He's playing with a backup quarterback for most of the season.
Yeah. Wow. My gosh. That's just.
But then again, it's Jimmy Garoppolo.
The offseason is going to be nuts. Like, it's going to be crazy after this year, depending on how things work out.
Yeah, I mean, I would just tell Niner fans, live in the now, because regardless if they win the Super Bowl or don't win the Super Bowl, it's going to be hectic regardless.
It's not like 2019 where, you go to the Super Bowl and you're like, all right, you know what? We're running it back with this team the next couple of years. Just sign these guys, get them under contract, which they've done. But now decisions are going to have to be made, man.
Yeah.
Boy, and I don't know. Like, what if Kyle Shanahan, goes with Trey Lance next year and actually starts running him 60 times a game again, like right away?
People need to get over that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Trevor Siemian not playing today. It will be Nathan Peterman.
Oh, third stringer?
Yeah, there's an oblique injury, I guess, to Siemian. I just got the update from Schefter.
Oh, boy. Okay, then.
Nathan Peterman for the Bears, huh?
You 5 interceptions before halftime?
Raiders legend.
Yeah. Future offensive coordinator if John Gruden was going to be there.
Yikes.
Who knows as a head coach.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pick some games fairly soon. But before we do that, Steven, USA, England.
Oh, God.
Soccer. Give it to me.
Well, I hate it. I hate the fact that they drew again. I've waited 12 years for that matchup. 2010, Robert Green. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's one of the worst moments in my sports watching life. I'll never get over that. So that's number one. It sucked that US looked like the better team. I was talking a lot of trash to my friends and saying it's going to be child's play. And I felt like that trash talk was warranted in the first 20 minutes. And then the rest of the half, the US absolutely dominated, but still didn't score because they're the US. And then in the second half, it was pretty clear that after the first 10 minutes of the second half, by the time it got to like the 60th minute, maybe, that's when the U.S. started to tire out. They looked like they were gassed. They looked like they couldn't keep up with the England's possession and keep trying to bounce on the counterattack. Looked like they kind of, wasted all their gas in the first half. And that's what made it even more disappointing because they did not look like a good team in the second half and England could not capitalize. Just a total, just nasty effort. However, big picture, when you forget about it, like a draw is a draw, that's fine. You're going up against a Welsh team who just lost to Iran 2-0. So England, they're going to make it through the group stage. They're going to be okay. US, they're still in trouble. Like the US needed to win that game. And now it's made a must win against an Iran team who just beat Wales 2-0 and the US couldn't beat Wales. So, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I kind of in the moment sucked, but after it, I'm all good. I just love how the U.S. fans can't think of any other argument besides like the Revolutionary War, because it's like your team didn't even qualify in the last World Cup, and yet the only thing that matters is 1776. It's like all of a sudden Americans are obsessed with war. It's weird.
Well, they always have been.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just I can't stand it when the US plays in the World Cup because all these fans come out of the woodwork that don't have any argument. I saw one, like the jokes start flying. I saw one where it's like, does England have a Waffle House? I don't think so. USA to the cup. It's like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
it turns into a lot of meathead
It does.
patriotism that is just stupid for
Out of nowhere.
for most people that don't even watch soccer for most of the year.
Yeah, yeah. So
I will say this though, Steven, if you do want to, have a good soccer viewing experience, the Athletic Club here in Oakland is raging all the time. I walk past it and people are it is more of a soccer bar than a football bar. People go crazy and they watch a World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, that's the well, yeah, no, because a lot of sports bars turned into a soccer bar because a lot of people enjoy the sport, Derek. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
I never heard of this sport to begin with before this World Cup started.
I know. I know. It's pretty wild that people like something outside of the NFL.
Soccer or football. By the way, that'll be my one takeaway or my one input into the soccer conversation. That commercial with Peyton Manning and David Beckham is way too long. It's stupid.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I haven't watched like any of the Fox broadcasts because like especially that one with the US and England, I couldn't stand like those guys are just so biased. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a soccer match when it's two American guys on the call. Like it just doesn't feel like it just doesn't. Been watching on Telemundo. It's electric.
As you should. That was on at the KNBR studio last week, and I just loved the goal.
Yeah.
The inflection at the end gets me.
My favorite thing is when because
like a dibs. Or what was the thing back in the day?
The uptick.
Yeah, the uptick. Yeah.
Dude, no, yeah, I don't understand a lot of Spanish. I understand a little bit. Más o menos. Más o menos. And it's just like I kind of get like Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when I understand something that they say. And then it's like because I'm watching Telemundo, I don't really know what they're saying, but it's great. And then when they're reading a sponsor, I'll hear like "y mucho más, son," and then it's like "and much more." I'm like, yes, God, it's awesome though. They're fantastic, and they have so much. They're so impartial, like to the matchup. It's really nice not hearing the bias come through, like I heard with old John Strong and Stu Holden on the U.S. and England game.
Great names.
Yeah.
John Strong, Stu Holden.
It just doesn't feel natural hearing Americans call soccer games. I don't know what it is, man.
That's your bias. And yeah, I can't believe that Italy is not in the World Cup and yet the US is.
Well, yeah, but Italy were really old. So they'll figure it out. They're Italian. Italians are fantastic. I feel my Italian family, they're so mad. You can't even bring it up.
Italians are angry in general.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, let's pick some of these American football games in a segment we call Wins or Wangs.
All right.
By the way, I owe you a beer and hot sauce, and I forgot again. I'm tired, Steven. Yeah, I lost. I lost once again, and
well, I don't care about you forgetting. That's fine, but like you lost again.
I'm not good when it comes to the spread pick'ems. And honestly, I'm not good with picking just straight up winners anymore. This season is weird and confusing to me.
No, agreed. I've only picked. I think I'm like,
good Lord.
What?
So Trevor Siemian was injured in warmups?
That's unfortunate.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What if this is like a Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert situation where all of a sudden Nathan Peterman comes in with no prior playing experience, nothing to not expected to play, told 15 minutes before the game, hey, you're starting.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to Trevor Siemian in warmups that happened. Good Lord. All right, let's start off with, let's do that game. So you got Nathan Peterman for the Chicago Bears going up against Mike White for the New York Jets, a dandy of a quarterback duel if I've ever seen it. And right now, the over-unders at 38, and the New York Jets, even with their quarterback situation, are favored by 7 points. Steven, what do you think about this game?
Give me the under.
Yeah.
Give me the under, and I'm gonna lay the points with the Jets. Just I think the Jets are gonna win this one. Mike White's electric.
So before I was going to say the Bears cover, but now with Nathan Peterman playing, yikes! And he just got called out. He just got called up from the practice squad yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Ooh boy. Okay. Yeah. I will do the same as you. I'm going to go under on that 38, but it could be a shutout performance for the Jets today because they still got their pretty good defense. So yeah,
good defense.
Even with Mike White playing a quarterback, and he actually had a good performance last year, I want to say, against the Bengals. Taking the Jets to win, to lay the points, and I'm going to go under on that one.
Nice.
All right. Then we got the Houston Texans, who benched, what's his name? Davis Mills for Kyle Allen. He's going to be starting for the Texans today. Don't know if that's going to make much of a difference for the Miami Dolphins, who are favored by 14 points. And the over-under is at 47. Steven?
Davis Mills and Kyle Allen are both on the same team?
You didn't even know?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't know. God. Well, you know what? They'd be first in the NFL if, you get points for having quarterbacks with long necks. Very long necks on those guys.
All they need now is Mike Glennon.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, he'll be the quarterback's coach. This is a weird one. I didn't know
Josh McCown will be head coach.
I didn't know it was at 14. I thought it would be at 12.5. I got 12.5 right here, but that's what it opened at. So I guess like a lot of money was going in on the Dolphins. You know what? I know that number is huge, but it doesn't scare me. Lay the points with the Dolphins. I think they're going to blow them out today. Absolutely. And then give me the what was the over under that you had?
47.
47. That's a lot. Give me the under there.
I'm going under as well. So far we picked the same.
This is going to be like a 38-3 game. Like this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it might be. Then you got the Atlanta Falcons, who are in a little bit of a skid right now as they lost their control of the NFC South as they go to the streaking Washington Commandos, who are going with Taylor Heineke as a starting quarterback with Carson Wentz healthy. But Chase Young is not going to play once again today. We'll see when he is activated finally this season. The over-under is at 40.5, and the Commandos are favored by 4.
Yeah, I'm going to I think the Commanders are just playing lights out right now. I'm going to lay the points with the Commanders. And I will, for old time's sake, I'll take the over.
Damn it. So far, you and I are simpatico because I feel the same exact way.
Yeah.
Then we got the Denver Broncos going to the Carolina Panthers, and it's going to be Sam Darnold starting today for the Carolina Panthers. The Broncos, God, this tells you how bad the season's been. Even with how bad the Panthers have been, the Broncos are 1-point favorites over the Panthers, and the over-under is at 36.5.
Yeah, you know what? I will take – what'd you have the spread at?
1,
so it's essentially a pick 'em.
Yep.
I'll take the Broncos, and then you know what? Give me the over. Yeah, give me the over.
I'm gonna go under, because the Broncos' offense is just dreadful, and they just released Melvin Gordon. There's rumors. I think this was debunked, but there was a report out there that Melvin Gordon, after the game, started blasting some Future to get into Russell Wilson's head because he was with Sierra. Don't know if that's true. Also, they were college teammates, so I find that very stupid. But yeah, a lot of things going on with Broncos country.
I don't know if he was doing that, but the reason that if he did, that's ultimate. If he did that, that is so petty. Like the reason you got waived is because you fumbled at the goal line again.
Yes. That's probably what happened.
That's why. So if he actually did that, that's so petty. Like I don't believe.
No, I think I saw a tweet where he said he saw the report out there and he was like, "Bro, that's not no."
Yeah, Gordon. I've heard him on the NFL Top 100 before. He is way too much of a high character guy to do that. He doesn't seem like that kind of.
And Steven bases everybody's personality about how they are on the NFL Top 100.
It's a great barometer. Check it out.
Also a great word, barometer. Not to be confused with thermometer. Moving on. The Baltimore Ravens going to the Jacksonville Jaguars as the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites and the over/under is at 43.
Yeah, see, this is a tough one. You know that I don't think the Ravens have been that good lately, but
They've been fine.
they've been okay. And against the spread, they have been fantastic this year when going away. So I'm going to lay the points with the Ravens. I think it's going to be a bounce back game for the offense, but I don't know if I'd take the over. Give me the under on that, and let me lay let me lay the points with the Ravens.
I'm gonna go the same, but I am going to take the over on this one.
Yeah, I don't feel confident with the over under, but I'm going to take the under.
All right. Then we got the Buccaneers going to the Cleveland Browns. This will be Jacoby Brissett's last game as Browns quarterback, as Deshaun Watson will be reinstated tomorrow and play against his former team, the Texans. Can't wait for that. But the Bucs are coming off of their bye week and they're 3-point favorites, and the over/under is at 42.
Yeah, I'd say lay the points with the Buccaneers. I don't care if it's going to be his last game, Brissett's, and I'll take the over.
The Browns are one of those disappointing teams this season, even with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback filling in for Deshaun Watson. And I don't think this is... If Kevin Stefanski is fired after this season, I think that'd be really unfair given the circumstances. However, this is Jacoby Brissett's last barometer. Last hurrah as quarterback this week, and I think he's done an okay job. And I feel bad for the whole situation, and I think the Browns haven't played up to their potential most of this season. There were glimpses against the Bengals and whatnot, and I think that happens today. I think that the Buccaneers come a little rusty out of the bye. I'm taking the Browns to win, and I'm going to go over.
Home underdog, man. Can't really go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong. The Bengals go to Tennessee for a rematch of last year's divisional playoff game where the Bengals upset the Titans. Despite Joe Burrow being sacked 9 times in that game, he will be without Jamar Chase today. And the Bengals are still 1-point favorites, and the over/under is at 43.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with the under in this. I think the Titans. I think the Titans defense has been pretty damn good this year, and their offense just hasn't been great. And I think the Bengals are just not going to get up to that scoring level. And gosh, this is essentially a pick 'em, but yeah, just lay the points with the Bengals. I think the Bengals can win this game.
I think without Jamar Chase today, it's going to be a little tougher, and no Joe Mixon either today for the Bengals. So you got Samaje Perine, who did score 3 touchdowns through the air last week, but the Titans need to get a little payback for last year, and they know how to get to Joe Burrow. So I'm going to take the Titans to win. And I'm going to go over. I think that their offense scores enough where both offenses score enough to get to the over today. Then you got the Chargers going to the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals are coming back from Mexico City on a short week, but Kyler Murray is playing. For the Chargers, Mike Williams seems to be out, but Keenan Allen will play today for the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm.
Sorry, the Chargers are 2.5 point favorites, and the over/under is at 48.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay the points with the Chargers. Originally, it was at 4.5, and now it's at 2.5. For the Cardinals, a lot of money coming in there. I'm really gonna lay the points with the Chargers. I think, and the over/under. I'll just take the over. Just give me the over in this game. So it's not like these two teams won't lack scoring. Yeah, so give me the over and lay the points with the Chargers.
I agree with that one. Going to take the Chargers, going to lay the points, going to take the over. Then we got the Vegas Raiders going to the Seattle Seahawks. And the over-under is at 47.5, and the Seahawks are favored by 4 points.
I'll take the over in this one, and I'll take the Raiders to cover, but I'll have the Seahawks winning. Yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. I think it's going to be really close, though.
This is a classic Raiders perform well on one week, and then I think they possibly get routed the next. And a good matchup today is to watch Devontae Adams versus Tariq Woolen, the young corner from the Seahawks.
The rookie, right?
Yep, could take him to school. Could be a good matchup. I just think with the Seahawks running game and their defense, it's going to be very hard. We still don't have Darren Waller or Hunter Renfrow. So I'm going to take the Seahawks to win. I'm going to lay the points, but I do think this is going to be an under game. May rain a little bit too today in old Seattle. Then you got, what was supposed to be a big game this season before the season started. And now I'm not even sure this is characterized as America's Game of the Week for Fox. You got the Rams going to the Chiefs, and Matthew Stafford is out. Bryce Perkins, their third-string quarterback, is playing today. Yikes. And then you got even promoting this game. I was watching the Fox broadcast on Thursday for Thanksgiving, and they just put a graphic of Patrick Mahomes. Nothing else.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are 15.5-point favorites, and the over-under is at 42. Rams have fallen off a cliff. Good Lord.
Lay the points with the Chiefs and give me the over.
Yeah, I am going the same way there. I don't know. You may have a disinterested Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald on defense today.
Yikes.
Yeah. Then you got the Saints up against the San Francisco 49ers, who are 9-point favorites today.
Yeah.
Those Niners. And the over-under is at 43.5.
Yeah, I think the Niners are going to win. I'm going to take the Saints to cover, though. Like I mentioned earlier, that week, man, coming off a Monday night game in Mexico City, Tuesday off, Wednesday everybody's jet lagged, tired. Thursday you have Thanksgiving, not much preparation. I think the Niners will ultimately win, but I think the Saints are going to cover. And what was your over/under again? What'd you have?
43.5.
43.5. Yeah, I'm going to take the. I'll take the under.
Taking the under. I agree with you on everything you just said. I'm going to take the Niners to win. I'll take the Saints to cover, but I am going to go over. I do think that some points will be scored. And then you got the Sunday night game. The Green Bay Packers going to Philadelphia, where the Eagles are 6.5-point favorites, and the over-under is at 46.
This is an interesting one. I'll take the Eagles to win. I will take the Packers to cover, and I will take the over.
Yeah. With the Packers playing last Thursday against the Titans, they've had 10 days to prepare for this game. However, I do think that the Eagles' pass rush will be a little too much for the Packers tonight, so I am going to take the Eagles to win. I'm going to lay the points, and I will take the over.
Okay, yeah, and it looks like, the Packers have been without Devondre Campbell for a little bit of time, right? He's still not playing, so that's something big.
As far as I remember, yes.
Yeah.
And then you got the Monday night game, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Fighting Jeff Saturdays, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 2.5-point favorites, and the over-under is at 39.5.
Yeah, give me the under, and I'll lay the points with the Colts.
I'm going to take the Steelers to win this game. And I think this is maybe when we start to see that Jeff Saturday isn't cut out for this, so they start to lose some games.
Yeah,
as they have all season. Yeah, give me the Pittsburgh Steelers to win, and I'm going to take the under in this one.
I haven't picked a single upset. I just don't see any upsets happening today. I can't predict any of them.
Well,
maybe maybe I'm not changing my pick. I'm keeping everything. Like maybe the Jaguars.
Cut the music. It just stopped. Cut the music.
maybe the Jags upset the Ravens.
Damn it, Steven.
Maybe that happens.
That was such a good fade.
I know. Maybe that happens. I don't know. I haven't picked a single upset, though. I just don't feel one today.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You probably will be wrong. There usually are upsets.
Yep.
But, yeah, we'll see what happens today.
Yeah, there's usually one, and I'm not feeling great about it, but you know what? Whatever. We're gonna move forward here.
God. I feel bad for Nathan Peterman because people are just going to shit on him tomorrow.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
Or maybe he plays great. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting today is we got Jesse and I adopted a cat, and we're going over all the information today, and they're giving us a call at 12 o'clock. So, once the half hour is up and it hits 12:30, I'm gonna be like, all right, Jesse, you could take the way. It's the fucking wishing hour. I gotta.
Just the way that Scott Hansen says it on the broadcast.
Yeah,
I got fucking witching hour.
I gotta go.
Does the cat have a name yet?
Not yet. We've got 3 that we're going off of.
Can
After
you give me?
Nala is one,
Of course.
Coco's another, then
Coco was my dog's name.
Phoebe is another one too.
Lisa Kudrow from Friends.
Yes, it's a smelly cat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Can I give a suggestion? Can I write in the ballot?
sure.
Professor Middens.
Nah.
All right then. Shot down quickly. All right, everybody. Enjoy your football today or your football. What's on the World Cup docket today?
Spain versus Germany coming up in a little bit. Right now we have Croatia versus Canada, and the last I saw, Croatia have a 3-1 lead now. So
Spain. So this is the first game that will be going up against American football. Spain versus Germany.
yeah. Which whatever. Again, Derek, they don't care about American football.
I'm just thinking about for the American audience, Steven. I'm just wondering, what is it on FS1 or is it on Telemundo? It's on Telemundo, obviously.
Maybe on FS1. I'm not sure. I'm
assuming it would be. It wouldn't be on regular Fox.
Because you know what's going to happen? It's America that's going to be watching American football, and you know who's watching the World Cup? The rest of the world.
I understand, Steven. Well, not our friends. Our German friends may be conflicted because a couple weeks ago they were singing "Country Road"
True.
during an NFL game.
Yeah.
So take that. And on that note, Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
It's just our opinion, man. And yes, Ernie, Brazil was on during football last week, and it was Bills versus Lions. Brazil was playing at the same time, and Brazil scored.
Well, I mean during Sunday games. Regardless,
yeah.
Say what you always say, Steven.
Yeah, that's just our opinion, man. Richarlison had one of the most unbelievable goals of the World Cup. Ernie, did you see that? Oh my God, I couldn't.
End the show, damn it.
Yeah.